want to share something. Willina said the line from the first poem, he was just dead. And it was like I was dying too. And that's just such a powerful statement. And so to our next reader, I'd like to invite Ann to read. Ann Teplick, as many of you know, she's been involved with Pongo for over 20 years. She's currently serving her 15th year as project lead at Pongo's other flagship site, which is CSTC, the Child Study and Treatment Center, mental health treatment center for teens and children. Ann.
Okay, thank you. I'm really happy to be here. I'll read 2 poems and I'll read them back to back and we can hold them. A Mother Singing by Skylar, age 17. I have a scar on my forehead from him. I think about him all the time, so let me tell you all the things I wish he did differently. I wish that he actually listened to me. I wish he would express his anger differently. He expressed it through drugs and violence because he had a lot of pain in his heart. If his heart was a house, it would be black. The windows would be broken, the yard would be full of growing trees and dead plants because he did try. I wish he cared more about himself and he knew how much everybody around him cares about him and loves him. He can't see that, and he always takes the easy way out. If he actually listened to me, he would hear the sound of a mother singing.
Lovely.
You know, honor this young poet. If My Fist Could Speak by Shaun, age 17. If my fist could speak, it would tell you about fractures and breaks. If my feet could speak, they would recall how many miles it takes to find a safe place to sleep. If my eyes could speak, they would tell you about the poverty and crime I see in my city. If my hair could speak, it would explain how coarse my life is. If my ears could speak, they would share secrets that I've kept to myself. If my body could speak, it would tell you about the beating it took to become stronger. If my brain could, it would want to ask, why is life so difficult? That's not for this poet. Thank you, Shaun, and everyone. It's all about courage, as Richard has said, and happy to be witness to these poems.
Thank you so much for reading, Ann. Just a couple comments from people. Jim, reflecting on the first poem, the crashed into the monkey bar image is so specific. The devastating event that forces you to deal with grown-up things paired with the object related to childhood, it really illustrates the ending of innocence. Thank you, Jim. Hannah commented that she loved the last poem and how it encompasses her bodily pain. Absolutely. And then one more from Jam. If my hair could speak, it would tell you how coarse my life is. It's powerful. And so again, invitation to you, audience and listeners, to comment in the chat as you feel led. I think it's really fitting that Ann and Richard, they've been Pongo's mom and dad for so many years. I think it's great that you guys both read poems about parents. And I just think it's reminds us that parents and caregivers are so important. And I want to thank—
we're proud of you.
And I want to tell you both thank you for being caregivers and such caring leaders for us as an organization. Next, I would like to invite Natalie Singer-Valouche to read. Natalie, are you here? Okay, I don't see Natalie. That is all right. Next, how about Christina? Christina is here. Christina is a current mentor at CFJC. Starting in September 23rd, our team has been facilitating poetry over Zoom with youth at CFJC. Mentors, just like Christina, are open and warm and facilitate youth poetry through natural conversational style, question asking. And then we record the youth responses so that they feel unencumbered to speak their truth. Christina. Let's see. Oh, I think we lost her. Okay. Well, that is all right. We have another mentor from CFJC, Mark Johnson, who's been with us a long time. Mark has done Pongo a number of years now, and Mark just has such a quiet wisdom about him and an ability to compliment others and see the strengths and the best in others that I really appreciate. And so here he is, Mark.
Thanks. Not many people call me quiet, but anyway. I wanted to read a poem called Totem Pole. So this is by a 15-year-old. My mistakes and what happened, reasons why I'm here, thinking about the past to the present, trying to figure out how it began, how it's going to end. My dad's stuck in prison for life without parole. My mom is back on drugs. My brothers are in foster care. I've been homeless for 3 years. I look at the same totem pole every day. I think about the stories I've heard. There's a man and a woman back to back. They have each other's backs, no matter what situation they go through. None of my family has each other's back. We always go against each other. I don't get it. I can't go a single day without being locked up or chased down. I live behind the totem pole in a park. It's like a black hole. You can't ever leave it. There's no way out, stuck there till the end. I've watched people get hurt, die, never leave. I hear stories about people who spend their lives there. I keep watch after everyone that lives there, all the natives, making sure no one defaces the totem pole. No, not now that I'm not there, everything gets bad. When I'm not there, somebody gets hurt. My spirit animal is a black wolf. I have dark sides that people don't see. Everywhere I go, there's life and death. There's always shadow on me, stopping me from seeing the light. Hopefully the shadow will arise so I can see the light. So probably some of us know the totem poles that they're speaking of there. I think those are the totem poles down in Pioneer Square that are actually in the park there at Occidental Park. And I don't know, I just found that very powerful imagery that that poet brought to it. And of course, you know, as we've said, it's just the stories are amazing, and the perspective that this young person is trying to reach to is awesome. So the other one I wanted to read is called Tu Estefani. I hope I'm saying that name properly. I'm addicted to the streets, but I'm tired of knowing my mother cries to sleep. She wants to see me change, but I can't find that lane. My heart is cold as winter snow, but these people don't really know. I've been through so much that my mind thinks it's froze. Losing my friends got me traumatized because I feel I'm losing all of mine. I want to make someone proud, but I don't know how. I'm stuck in the negative and don't know how to get out. I come from where the streets are always wet, but it's not from the rain. Blue and red lights passing by. It's probably another homicide. A lot of families crying because their sons and daughters are dying. I'm from one of those families, but I didn't die. I'm just serving a lot of time, but that's the only option when you're living this life. Yeah. So thanks for the opportunity to read those poems. That one was by a young person, 16 years old.
Thank you so much for reading, Mark. We have some thoughts in the comments from Willina. She noticed stuck in the negative and can't get out. I feel the poet's heaviness of heart. And then one from Ann. I want to make someone proud, but I don't know how. And then one more from Willina with the totem pole. I keep watch over everyone that lives there. I can hear the poem wanting to have the backs of those living near the totem pole. Absolutely. All right, wonderful. And then one more from Hannah. The streets wet, but not with rain. The image approaches trauma and violence in a graceful and painful way. I couldn't agree more. Well, wonderful, Mark. Thanks so much. Next, I'd like to have some mentors from CSTC read. To start, we'll begin with Alex. Alex is a current mentor at CSTC. And she's been with us a number of years. Alex is an avid writer, and she models so well how a Pongo poetry mentor is not only open to the youth's writing, but to the process of writing itself and the experimentation and the play with language that comes with it. Alex.
Thanks, Shaun. I'm going to read a poem from CSTC from just a couple weeks ago. It's called Boundaries, and it's on my computer. What boundaries mean to me. Boundaries mean how close a person gets to you, physically and emotionally. I struggle with boundaries because I've been hurt in the past. A lot of people don't understand what boundaries are. For me, I've definitely experienced that. When I was younger, my brother didn't know boundaries. Sometimes I wish that I could have a brother that loved me as a sister, like a brother should, not the way a partner would. Sometimes I wish I could go through the day not thinking about what my brother did to me.
That's an incredible poem. And, I remember right after hearing that gal's poem and just thinking about how, Richard has often said that, youth heal themselves. And by healing, we mean they learn to integrate a traumatic moment into their daily life, and they get to see themselves as a survivor. And that you perhaps don't ever get over something like that the young woman wrote about, but you learn to be strong, even in spite of that memory's presence in your life. And I think she modeled well how to do that through poetry. And at the same time, she also points out that so many survivors of trauma have an acute awareness of justice and what's fair and right. And that true north, she knew where true north was, and she knew when that boundary was crossed. Thank you, Alex. We have time for another mentor from CSTC, Rebecca. Rebecca is with our current cohort, and she's been with Pongo a number of years now. Like so many of our volunteer mentors who've written with us over the years, Rebecca radiates a joy for the work, which is both inspired by and inspiring to the youth. Rebecca.
Thank you, Shaun. Yeah, I'd like to read a poem also from this season at CSTC, and I'll just add that I think it was, we all went into this year and this season having to be virtual with a lot of kind of trepidation and how is this going to work, and it was amazing to see that Pongo works, yes, even in this format. So this was in the early days of getting our legs under us in this Zoom format. This is called The Bowl of Worries. Discharge. I'm nervous. Just a month or two ago, I was so excited to go home. Now that I actually know my date, I'm scared. I think I'm just scared to make another mistake because I don't want to hurt the people that I care about again. But just because I've made mistakes doesn't mean I am a mistake or a disease. It just means I may need a little more support along the way. If I could put my worry somewhere, I'd put it in a box that I don't ever have to deal with, one I'd never have to open again. I'd seal it up and burn it and smash the ashes and go eat ice cream.
Very sweet. Wonderful, Rebecca. Thank you. Next on our reading list, we have Sasha Clark. Good evening, Sasha. I'm so happy you're with us. Sasha is a mental health clinician at CFJC. Sasha represents how mental health counselors and therapists are integral partners in Pongo's work. They're readers of our youth's poems. They're also consultants with us as issues arise. And we're so grateful for our long-running partnership with them. Sasha.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to do this. I'm going to read a poem called I Am Made From, written by Giovanna, age 16. People say we are made up of sand or water. I am made from a dad with lots of smiles and laughs. We wear the same size jeans, that's jeans with a G, size, funny, and caring. I am made from a mom, the natural to my beauty, the curly to my lashes, the dimple to my cheek, the feisty to my attitude. My mom is far, but when I look in the mirror, I see her. When I look in the mirror, I see dad, because I have my dad's eyes. I am made from the G in grateful, the I in independence. I am here, I am alive, I can do everything by myself. I am made from black and white. I am made from being able to put myself in someone else's shoes. Regardless if they're too big or too small, I can still make them fit. I am made up of teachings that God loves me, that he'll never leave me nor forsake me to love one another. They are the reason why I'm able to breathe the clean air and see the luscious bright trees, the sunny side up sun. My dad is the right side and my mom is the left side. As much as they may not think so, they form a heart. Without them, I wouldn't have one. Thank you.
Thank you, Sasha, for reading that. And we're coming to the end of our first block of reading. If those of you in the audience are thinking of things you might like to read, there'll be another opportunity. But to close our first block of reading, we'll end it with Richard reading another poem. Richard said something else that I really appreciate. He said that youth know what they need to say already. And I was thinking about this a lot, and that sometimes the youth just need someone to give them a chance to say it, someone to listen, someone to record, someone to remember. And, by publishing this book, and by rereading this book, and the 15 that came before it, and the ones that are to come, that's what we're doing, remembering. Richard, please close us.
Thank you, Shaun. I had the privilege of working with this young man. He's 17 years old, and the complexity in this poem, his ability to take on the challenges of his life is truly admirable. Hurt. Hurt is a painful thing, an emotion which comes about after events happen in your life. As I remember, I've had hurt ever since I was about 6 years old. I felt the hurt for my mom when my dad actually hurt her. I felt the hurt when my sisters got assaulted in multiple ways by my dad. I felt the hurtful pain when drugs took my spot in my dad's heart. I felt the hurt when my dad left for years upon years. Hurt is a thing we all feel. It makes you feel emerged with hate and thoughts that you wouldn't imagine. Hurt is a thing, a feeling that made me who I am today. And it's Hurt I want to thank. And I would just end by following up with what Shaun said, that I'm thanking all of you, because this young man, when we sit and are just present with the kids in a caring way, it creates a safe space that enables all of this courage and empowerment to manifest itself. So thank you for all you do, you mentors. It's great to see you all.
Wonderful. And so that closes out our first block of reading. And so next, we all have a real treat. I'd like to introduce you to Maven. Maven was Seattle's 2016 to 17 Youth Poet Laureate. She's been a longtime Pongo pal. She's a gifted speaker and poet, as you guys will hear if you haven't heard before. I've been a fan of Maven's poetry since 2014. And so here is Maven.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, hey.
I've realized by doing these live things that I still have just as much stage fright as I do in person. So forgive
my gosh. Me too.
I'm going to read 2 pieces from the book, and I'm going to read 2 pieces of my own. This first piece is by Leilani, age 15. It's titled Strength. I can be as strong as a god, ready to take care of your soul. I can be as strong as the tiger. Pay attention to my walk around you. I will brush my fur against you if you are so sweet. I can be strong in ways you don't expect. I can be strong as a brick, able to squish you from hurting me. My strength can be gentle. I can be as strong as an angel, ready to take you home with me. I can be strong and change the world. I can be strong and guide others. I can be strong and won't have to cry. And this next piece is by Liam, age 16. It's titled Sweet Wine. I'm from a street where gunshots at night is nothing new. People always wonder why the police come through. Abandoned projects and boarded up houses, unsupervised children running like mice. Drug dealers and gangbangers, but this isn't new to me. My household is nothing like what I make it seem. I make it seem to be what every kid wants, but in reality, my dad is dead. My mom has breast cancer. My brother is dead. But I tell people that my life is just fine. Good like sweet wine. I live in an apartment with my stepdad. Broken picture frames, holes in the walls from people slamming doors open. Roaches scatter when the lights turn on. Sometimes the water is turned off from the bill not being paid. I support myself. I'm a 20-year-old trapped in a 16-year-old body. I hang with older people, do older people activities and festivities, play basketball, smoke, and people still think I'm a joke. I feel like I'm grown sometimes, but I know I'm just a child. Once my dad died, I had no father figure. My stepdad doesn't care what I do. In and out of foster care, been through and made it out of so many group homes, but then again, people think my life is good like sweet wine. Dedicated to my brothers. All right. The first piece of mine I'm going to read is titled Ruins. Let's give offerings. Toss the carcasses of the able-bodied to the tops of the poplar trees. Hear them drop like dead weight through summer breeze, like cherry pits, shot from the mouths of the neighborhood's kids, soft-thudded melody against concrete. Beautiful contrast as long as the limbs are brown, mouths full and round. Everyone knows America's favorite sound, beat fist against black until the shame dances out. Make song from beat, sing shame into song, wave flag, call it tradition, and make slaves of them all, call slavery compliance, and compliance is the law. Pour brown folks into beakers and set them on the shoulders of their children. Deny trauma through generations, but tell them not to waver. Their stance is to remain steady when walking the white line. Sentences to stay clipped when under that great eye. Don't start no shit, but there'll be some anyway. Don't trip on the chains around your ankles or the barcode or across your face. Be quiet. There is no safety in silence. Silence is a cotton swab swimming the brim of your deaf ear, damn near fictional. When was our existence first rendered subliminal? It doesn't matter. I've got my hands in your history, tying knots in your timeline. Ancestors speaking true to me, saying walk with confidence. We fought so you could name your tongue. The only time your knees should meet the ground is to pull the earth up. Alrighty. My final piece is titled Black Boy. It's a favorite of mine, which is saying a lot because as we know, artists, we're our own worst critic. But yeah. Black Boy says, I'm tired of my breath exiting my mouth like a question mark. I'm tired of my heart beating with hesitation of brown bodies being brown bodies, not as a right, but as a suggestion. I'm tired of having to apologize if I blink too fast or bow too slow, too low. I'm tired of white teeth grazing my family tree. White teeth asked me, what is your favorite tragedy? The hood, is it good? How many holes did gentrification poke into your community? White teeth says, boy, I know your story. Systemic trauma from your mama, and she inherited the same from her own, along with curls tight as shackles, skin black as soil. We harvest your hardships here. Black ain't never had no privilege. Black boy, dip your fingertips into your textbooks. Retrieve your story, your people. There has never been a right time to be the color of this earth. You have to carve out a space for your existence here. Halt tongues, young king. Brown bodies have never been enough, yet they're gunned down for being too much. Some say the grass is greener on the other side, but in this case, there's just grass to begin with. Where you come from, next of kin use their parents' ashes to fill the cracks in the pavement. Brown bodies never left us. We use them how we can. Brown bodies never left us. The deceased are our live-in handymen eating their last words for our last supper when food stamps are no longer. A little blood spread across squeaky hinges. We harvest memories here. Black ain't never had no expiration date. Black boy says, I'm tired of my breath exiting my mouth like a question mark. Thank you.
Wow, I am glad that I'm sitting down. Otherwise, I think those poems would have totally slayed me. And so we got a lot of comments on that. Willina says, Black ain't never had no privilege. She appreciated that line. Hannah said, your work is beautiful and powerful, Maven. Also, the only time your knees should meet the ground, it's to pull up the earth. I love that line too. Jem says, everyone knows that America's favorite sound. Wow. How many holes did gentrification poke into your community? Yeah, I was writing I read a poem about gentrification written by a poet to the young people, and I asked them what that word meant, and they didn't know what the word meant. But when I described it, they were like, oh yeah, that, I know what that is. Dylan said there's no safety in silence. He appreciated that. Alex did too. A lot of people did. Yeah, wonderful, Maven. Thank you. All right. At this point in the evening, I'd like to have a quick developmental update. I'd like to give the floor to one of our board members, Karen Hirsch. Karen has been a vital member of Pongo's board for many years, and her insight and wisdom has helped us reach where we are today. And so it's with honor that I would like to introduce you, Karen.
Thank you, Shaun. Thank you, Maven, for reading the Pongo poems and reading your poems. And thank you to all the readers who've read this evening and who will read this evening. And thank you to all the volunteers in every form that your volunteership, if that's a word, takes shape with Pongo. I have been involved with Pongo as a board member for about 4 or 5 years. I'm losing track. It's an honor to serve this mission in any way that I can. I was remembering tonight where I was sitting the first time I opened a volume of Pongo poems, and I knew in that instant I wanted to be part of the work to bring more opportunities for there to be Pongo authors and for there to be more readers of Pongo authors' words. I think we all can feel tonight that the poetry in the shadow beside me really demonstrates the transformative power of Pongo poetry writing experiences. And we all know in our different ways that youth authors use the power of poetry and creative expression to process, the most difficult types of experiences that a young person could ever have. And yet through the writing and seeing the words on the page, it's an opportunity to begin healing from these experiences and see and witness their own capacity for inner resilience. And I was so struck tonight, Rebecca, in the poem you read by the line, it doesn't mean I am a mistake. That line is just sitting with me so much tonight. So this is a time of just incredible economic challenge in our country and in our world, and which makes it an extra strange time to be in the middle of a fundraising campaign, but we are, as most nonprofits do at the end of the year. And so we're tonight going to ask for support at, of course, any level. It means the world to us. In doing so, if you choose to make a donation, you're investing in Pongo's future in 2021 and beyond. Next year, Pongo will be adding a new partnership at a new site beyond the Child and Family Justice Center and CSTC. So there'll be a third location. And of course, we'll keep doing the work of bringing Pongo to other educators and community leaders in other places through the trainings that Shaun and others lead. And in doing that, we create these pockets where Pongo can happen in all over the country and all over the world. So if you're so moved, be it $1 or $5, that is incredibly meaningful to us. If by any chance you find yourself in a position to give a gift in the $100 to $500 range, it will be matched by a donor who has chosen to give in that way to match donations at that level. So I imagine probably Nebu or someone will put some note in the chat. The ways to give are through the website, and of course, good old-fashioned mail that works too. My nerves are getting worse as I go along, so I'll just end there and just thank you all. I feel honored to be part of the Pongo community, and thank you all for everything that you do.
Thank you so much, Karen.
I guess it'll be Shaun, so thank you.
Actually, I was Nebu, Johnny on the spot. And I would be remiss if I didn't take this moment while a few people are looking at how to give without thanking my fellow staff members and colleagues. I want to shout a huge thank you out to Nebu. Since I started in March, he is, yeah, there you go. Snaps for Nebu for sure. He's been such a great guy to work with. And then I want to thank Barbara as well, our current executive director. She's been such a great leader and is helping us a lot, helping me as a program manager. And we really appreciate both of my coworkers. Thank you guys. Next, we actually have a few minutes to read some more poems. And so to start this next block of poetry, I'm going to have Professor Thorpe start it. But as those of you in the audience who haven't read yet, if you feel moved to read a poem, please just let me know in the chat and we'll have time for you to read. And so to introduce Professor Doug Thorpe. He's our board president he has been for several years now. And not only has Doug been a wise and calming and guiding voice on our board, his presence in the classroom and as a professor and in his writing have long been a source of spiritual direction in my life and in the lives of many students. And so I'd like to welcome him, Professor Thorpe.
Thank you very much, Shaun. And it's such a pleasure. There's 3 former students on this call, so that really makes me very happy. So this is a poem by Alistair, age 15, called Pain All My Life. I've been in pain all my life, fighting to keep my head up. I keep my head down. I was born into pain, a baby drowning in pain. My pain felt like being stabbed, an open wound that wouldn't heal. My pain felt like a person yelling for help. My pain is pinkish, orangish, sadness like I've been hurt. My pain felt like being stuck in a hole or a ditch. I turned to drugs to ease my pain. At first, I felt relieved, so I started using more. The pain kept throbbing. My pain ached like something in a horror movie. My pain makes me feel like I'm locked up. It keeps trying to imprison. I've been fighting the urge. I think about what happens if I relapse. I want to go back to school, get a job. I'll look to positive things instead of negative. I'll think about where I am now and where I could go. So, what strikes me about the poem, and I think I'm echoing what others have said, that the first thing is that this Pongo process, which is so simple in a way, is powerful because it gives a voice to the voiceless. It gives folks a chance to claim their truth, to speak their truth, and to share it. And the second part, which I think is worth emphasizing, is that it also, of course, gives someone like myself and all of us, on this call, to experience at least a little bit through the words what this 15-year-old has experienced. And so there is this empathy that is created. There's this crossing over from one to another that to me is quite miraculous and extraordinarily precious. That it is a gift, this tenderness, this vulnerability. I think that's what we experience. That's what is so powerful. And I echo what Richard said. Richard said that when he was reading one of the poems, he said he had the privilege of working with this young man, and that's the feeling I think that we have in the presence of these poems, that we have been privileged. And these are folks who have not generally seen their lives as gifts, right? And so the poetry is a small miracle that we get to share in. So I'm just deeply grateful. So thanks, Shaun and Richard, and for all of you for making it possible, for keeping Pongo alive.
Our pleasure, Doug. Thank you. A few thoughts from one from Hannah. I love how this poem uses the poem to envision his future and also encompass the generational trauma. I was born into pain. And then crossing over from one to another. It's miraculous. Well said. In this process, I know that so many of us have been reading and our minds have been with Pongo and our work. And I just want to thank you all. I would be remiss also without thanking Celeste. Celeste is on the call. Celeste designed our last two books previous to this. And it was Celeste's design work that really helped in the interior of it. The designer that I worked with, her name's Danya. I want to give her a shout out to, even though she's not on the call. Maybe she'll hear the recording, but she was able to use Celeste's wonderful work in their previous two books to inspire her work on this one. So thank you, Celeste. And with that said, we have time for one or two more readers. As you guys are thinking of a poem you might like to read or a question you might like to ask, I just want to tap Georgia to read our closing poem. Georgia is with us, and so she'll close us out. But we do have 5 minutes or so for questions or other poems. The floor is yours, audience. Any questions? Any poem we haven't read that you really want to hear? All right. Well, if you guys think of, go ahead,
Low on the uptake, but there's one more that I would read if that's okay.
please.
Okay. It's called Lonely by Giovanni, age 16. Lonely. I am lonely like a single human being left on earth. Lonely like a punch to the gut, sucking you into a black hole. I realize how lonely we all can be, as if you were by yourself in an old house with one window, walking back and forth, hearing the woods scream with every step. Lonely is a great summit of deep, deep feeling. And from loneliness, I've learned to step forward out of the lonely shadows and embrace it. And if it were a friend from the past, as if it were a friend from the past and near future, lonely, dedicated to my family.
Thank you, Karen. Others? Questions, comments? All right. Well, Georgia, if you are open to closing us out with a poem, I'd love to hear you read one.
Oh, I don't have the book.
Oh, okay. No worries. And so I can go ahead. No, that's okay. And so Georgia has been a Pongo pal for a number of years now and as a community leader, and we're so glad you're here. And so I'll go ahead and close us out with one. And I'll close us out actually with the title poem, My Past. And I'm going to put my email here in the chat. And if following this, if this stirred up anything in you, please email. I want to know how you guys are doing, your guys' ideas and thoughts. So this has been a great night. I'll close us out with My Past by Anaya, age 14. My past. I'm thinking about my past and how I'm supposed to get out of here. Just 2 years ago, I got jumped into a gang. I started smoking weed. Taking drugs. I became more violent. I shot 2 people. My mom tried to help me get out of it, help stop my addiction. I couldn't, so I ran away. I ran into another gang and they tried to kill me. So I stopped going outside. That's when I stopped going to school. I started fighting more and selling drugs. I'm in here now and I don't know when I'm getting out. I think about my mom a lot. And what she'd try to tell me, thank you, Mom, for being there when no one else was. I appreciate everything you do for me, and I want to respect you more. Thinking about my mom is like God watching me all the time. I can hear her voice sometimes. It's like an angel, smelling like flowers, tasting like Spam musubi. All I see is a shadow sitting right next to me. I wish I could take it all back. But it's my past. I can't. My past is like hell, smelling like flames. I wish that my future won't be like my past and that I'll have a new beginning. I see stars in my new beginning. It smells like fresh laundry, like tastes like chocolate, looks like a universe. Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Shaun.
My pleasure.
Thank you all for being here. It's so nice to see everyone.
Great to see everyone. Dylan and Hannah, great to see you.
Yeah, great to see everybody. Wishing you well.
Good to
Same
see you.
here.
Stay safe.
And Georgia, you'll get a book.
How you guys all doing?
The core group.
Oh. Let me get
Sasha, it's really good to meet you. Oh, she left. Oh,
Oops,
well.
she left.
Sure. I didn't realize I was still.
Let's see. I need
Um,
to switch my hearing. I can't hear you. There we go. Oh,
Thank you for a lovely evening, everyone. It was
Yeah, it was
this
great.
book is so beautiful and heartbreaking, and it's so important to hear the voices and elevate and highlight these beautiful people and witness their words. So thank you. Really happy to be here.
my pleasure.
This
And
was awesome.
Done to pull this together, and you and Shaun, Richard. So
yeah, it was our pleasure. And I'm finishing the last section, and
Yay.
I'll be done.
I got-
I'll be done with our first
Cool.
draft of the
I got
manuscript for book
titles for
60.
you. I just haven't swished them your way.
That's all right. Yeah, it'll be over 120 poems.
This is a CSTC book
Mhm.
Yeah.
you're putting together. Wonderful. What's your hoped for publication date?
By graduation, for their not graduation, their the last day of Pongo at CSTC, late May.
Late May.
Right.
Yeah, the designer for this book, I guess I didn't terrorize her too much. She really wants to do the next one, and so yeah, that's good. And also, the youth have done art for it. Anne, I don't remember if you were there. You were there.
No, I mean, I last week we were talking
Yeah.
about the art, but you hadn't. You
Right.
were putting
I still
together-
haven't seen it, but it's there somewhere. So we're gonna try to incorporate some youth
Yeah.
art. We'll see how it goes. All right.
I'm gonna go
Well-
eat my quinoa dish.
That sounds much better than the pizza that I'm gonna eat, but as the pizza I'm gonna eat is gonna be wonderful. So, and I did record. Bye, Anne. Have a good night. I did record
Bye.